Marcus Thompson adjusted his prosthetic leg for the third time as he approached the entrance to the Riverside Community Services Center, a sprawling government building that housed everything from unemployment offices to veteran assistance programs. The 42-year-old former Army sergeant had been dreading this visit for weeks, but his disability claim review couldn't be postponed any longer, and he needed to speak with his caseworker about his ongoing physical therapy coverage. The November morning was cold and damp in downtown Portland, and Marcus had been sitting in the VA Medical Center since 6 a.m. for blood work and evaluations. Now, at 11:30, he was exhausted, hungry, and his residual limb was aching from the poorly fitted temporary prosthetic he'd been forced to use, while his regular one was being repaired. All he wanted was to grab a quick lunch in the building's public cafeteria before his 1 p.m. appointment. What Marcus didn't expect was to encounter Brenda Walsh, a 53-year-old security guard who had been working at the community center for 8 months and had developed very strong opinions about the type of people who belonged in the building's public spaces. If this story already has your attention, please hit that subscribe button and give us a like. Stories about discrimination against our disabled veterans need to be told, and your support helps us share these important messages with people who need to hear them. Marcus pushed through the glass doors of the cafeteria, relieved to escape the cold wind that had been cutting through his jacket. The lunch rush was just beginning, and the space was about half full, with a mix of government employees, visitors, and people using the building's various social services. He made his way slowly toward the food service counter, his prosthetic clicking slightly on the linoleum floor with each step. The temporary device didn't fit as well as his usual prosthetic, causing him to walk with a more pronounced limp and requiring the use of a walking cane for stability. "Excuse me," a loud voice called from behind him. "Excuse me, sir." Marcus turned to see a heavy-set woman in a security uniform approaching him with an expression that immediately put him on edge. "Are you supposed to be in here?" Brenda asked, looking him up and down with obvious disapproval. "I'm sorry. This cafeteria is for people who work in the building and visitors with official business. Do you have business here?" Marcus felt his face flush with embarrassment as other diners began to notice the confrontation. "Yes, I have an appointment with the VA office upstairs at 1 o'clock. I just wanted to grab some lunch first." Brenda's eyes focused on his prosthetic leg and walking cane, her expression growing more hostile. "What kind of appointment?" That's personal, but I can show you my appointment card if you need to see it." "Look, sir, I don't know what your situation is, but this isn't a soup kitchen. This is a place for normal people who are conducting legitimate business." The word normal hit Marcus like a physical blow. He had been dealing with stares and whispered comments since losing his leg to an IED in Afghanistan 3 years ago, but he had never been directly told he wasn't normal to his face. "I am conducting legitimate business. I'm a disabled veteran with a scheduled appointment." "Well, you don't look like you belong here. This isn't a homeless shelter, and it's not a charity case dining room. What would you do if you witnessed this scene unfolding in a public cafeteria? Would you intervene, record it, or try to help in some other way? Let me know in the comments what you think the right response would be." Marcus felt every eye in the cafeteria now focused on their exchange. An elderly woman at a nearby table was shaking her head in disgust. A man in a business suit had pulled out his phone and appeared to be recording the interaction. "Ma'am, I served 3 tours in Afghanistan. I lost my leg defending this country. I have every right to eat lunch in this public cafeteria before my appointment." Brenda's voice got louder, ensuring that everyone in the room could hear her. "I don't care what you claim to have done. All I see is someone who doesn't belong here making other people uncomfortable. This place is for normal people, not for people who look like they're looking for handouts." "I'm not looking for handouts. I'm trying to buy lunch with my own money." "Well, find somewhere else to buy it. This isn't a charity case cafeteria." Marcus stood there for a moment, feeling humiliated and angry, but not wanting to escalate the situation further. Around him, other diners were either staring in shock or looking away in embarrassment. "You know what?" he said quietly. "Forget it. I'll find somewhere else to eat." As Marcus turned to leave, Brenda called after him loud enough for the entire cafeteria to hear. "That's right. Go find a place that's more appropriate for people like you." Marcus walked out of the cafeteria with as much dignity as he could muster, his face burning with shame and his hands shaking with anger. He had survived 3 combat deployments, multiple surgeries, and months of painful rehabilitation, but nothing had prepared him for being treated like a second-class citizen in his own country. What Marcus didn't know was that Dr. Jennifer Martinez, a VA psychologist who had been eating lunch at a corner table, had witnessed the entire exchange and was already reaching for her phone. Before I continue with what happened next, I need to ask, how old are you? This story is about to show the power of people standing up for what's right, and I want to make sure you're prepared for the emotional impact. Drop your age in the comments. Dr. Martinez had been working with disabled veterans for 12 years and had seen too many of her patients face discrimination and humiliation in public spaces. She knew exactly who to call. Her first call was to Colonel Retired David Chen, the director of the Portland Veterans Coalition, a nonprofit organization that advocated for veteran rights and services. "David, it's Jennifer Martinez. I just witnessed something at the Community Services Center that you need to know about. A security guard just publicly humiliated a disabled veteran and kicked him out of the public cafeteria for having a prosthetic leg." "Are you serious?" "Dead serious. I got most of it on video. This is exactly the kind of discrimination we've been fighting against." "What's the veteran's name?" "I don't know, but I'm going to find out. I think he has an appointment in the VA office today." Dr. Martinez's second call was to Sarah Kim, an investigative reporter for the Portland Tribune who had done several stories about veterans' issues. "Sarah, I have a story for you that's going to make you furious. I just watched a security guard at a government building discriminate against a disabled veteran. I have it on video. Send me everything you have. How soon can we meet? Give me an hour to track down the veteran and get his permission to share his story." Dr. Martinez's third call was to the building's main office to report the incident formally. Her fourth call was to the Disabled American Veterans Organization. Her fifth call was to the American Civil Liberties Union. Within 30 minutes of Marcus leaving the cafeteria, a network of advocates, journalists, and veterans' rights organizations was mobilizing. Marcus had found a bench outside the building and was trying to compose himself before his appointment when Dr. Martinez approached him. "Excuse me, are you the veteran who was just in the cafeteria?" Marcus looked up, immediately defensive. "Yes. What about it?" "My name is Dr. Jennifer Martinez. I'm a psychologist with the VA, and I witnessed what happened to you in there. What that security guard did was completely unacceptable, and I want to help you do something about it. I just want to forget it happened and get through my appointment." "Sir, with respect, forgetting about it means it will happen to the next veteran who walks in there. What's your name?" "Marcus Thompson." "Marcus, I've been working with disabled veterans for over a decade, and what I saw in there was textbook discrimination. It was wrong, it was illegal, and it can't be allowed to stand." Marcus was quiet for a moment. "What can we do about it? It's my word against hers." "Actually, it's not. I recorded most of the interaction on my phone. But more importantly, I've already contacted several organizations that specialize in fighting exactly this kind of discrimination. I don't want to be a poster child for anything. I just want to be left alone." Dr. Martinez sat down next to him on the bench. "Marcus, I understand that instinct, but think about the next veteran who walks in there with a visible disability. Think about the message that security guard is sending to everyone who works in that building about how we treat our wounded warriors. What do you think Marcus should do? Should he pursue action against the discriminatory treatment, or try to put it behind him and move on? Share your thoughts in the comments." 20 minutes later, a convoy of vehicles pulled up in front of the Community Services Center. Colonel Chen arrived first, followed by Sarah Kim and her cameraman, then 2 representatives from the Disabled American Veterans, a lawyer from the ACLU, and Captain Retired Maria Santos from the Portland Police Bureau's Community Relations Division. "Marcus, these are people who want to help," Dr. Martinez explained as the group approached, "but the choice is entirely yours." Colonel Chen stepped forward and extended his hand. Sergeant Thompson, I'm Colonel David Chen, Portland Veterans Coalition. Dr. Martinez told me what happened to you today, and I want you to know that this kind of treatment of our veterans is absolutely unacceptable. Sir, I appreciate that, but I'm not sure I want to make a big deal out of this. Son, it's already a big deal. The question is whether we're going to let it slide or whether we're going to make sure it never happens again. Sarah Kim spoke up. Mr. Thompson, I'm a reporter with the Portland Tribune. I've been covering veterans issues for 5 years, and what happened to you today is part of a larger pattern of discrimination that disabled veterans face every day. Your story could help change that. I don't want to be on TV talking about my disability. You wouldn't be talking about your disability, Colonel Chen said. You'd be talking about your service to this country and your right to be treated with dignity and respect in public spaces. Marcus looked at the group of people who had assembled to support him, people who had dropped everything they were doing because a fellow veteran had been mistreated. What exactly are you proposing? The ACLU lawyer stepped forward. First, we file a formal complaint with the building management and the company that employs the security guard. Second, we document this incident thoroughly so there's a clear record of what happened. Third, we make sure that the building implements proper training for all staff about disability rights and veteran recognition. And if they don't respond appropriately, Colonel Chen added, we make this story public and let the community decide whether this is how they want their disabled veterans to be treated. Marcus was quiet for several minutes, thinking about his decision. If I do this, what happens to the security guard? That depends on her employer and the building management, Dr. Martinez said. But Marcus, what she did today was more than just rude. It was discriminatory and possibly illegal. She was just doing her job the way she understood it. No, Colonel Chen said firmly. Her job is to provide security, not to humiliate disabled veterans in public spaces. There's a difference. Marcus finally nodded. Okay, let's do it. But I want to go to my appointment first. Of course, we'll wait. An hour and a half later, Marcus emerged from his VA appointment to find the group still waiting for him, along with several additional people who had arrived in the meantime. How did your appointment go? Dr. Martinez asked. Fine. They approved my physical therapy for another 6 months. Marcus paused. You know what? I've been thinking about this while I was upstairs. That security guard didn't just disrespect me. She disrespected every veteran who's ever been injured serving this country. That's exactly right, Colonel Chen said. So let's make sure she understands what she did. The group moved into the building together, a formidable presence that immediately caught the attention of everyone in the lobby. They requested to speak with the building manager, the head of security, and a representative from the security company that employed Brenda Walsh. Within minutes, it became clear that the building's management was taking the situation very seriously. This is completely unacceptable, said Patricia Williams, the building manager. If what you're describing actually happened, it violates both our policies and federal law. We have video documentation, Sarah Kim said, showing her phone, and multiple witnesses. The security company supervisor, Tom Rodriguez, looked sick as he watched the video. This employee will be terminated immediately. This kind of behavior is completely contrary to our training and our values. We also want to discuss policy changes, the ACLU lawyer said. This building serves thousands of veterans every year, many of whom have visible disabilities. Your staff needs proper training on disability rights, veteran recognition, and respectful treatment of all visitors. What's the most important change that should come from this incident? Better training, stronger policies, or public awareness about how we treat disabled veterans? I want to hear your thoughts in the comments. But the most powerful moment came when Brenda Walsh was called down to the lobby to face the group she had humiliated earlier. When she saw Marcus surrounded by military officers, lawyers, reporters, and advocates, her face went pale. Ma'am, Colonel Chen said, I want you to meet Sergeant Marcus Thompson, United States Army, 3 tours in Afghanistan. Lost his leg to an improvised explosive device while protecting a convoy of supplies headed to an Afghan orphanage, Purple Heart recipient. Bronze Star recipient. The kind of hero this country should be honored to serve. Brenda looked like she wanted to disappear. Sergeant Thompson, Colonel Chen continued, this is the person who told you that you weren't normal enough to eat lunch in a public cafeteria. Marcus stepped forward. Ma'am, I want you to understand something. I didn't lose my leg so that I could come home and be treated like a second-class citizen. I lost it defending the rights and freedoms that you enjoy every day. Brenda's voice was barely a whisper. I didn't know. You didn't know because you didn't ask. You saw a disability and made assumptions about who I was and where I belong. Tom Rodriguez stepped forward. Ma'am, you're terminated effective immediately. Please turn in your badge and any company property. But I've been working here for 8 months without any problems. Ma'am, Rodriguez interrupted. What you did today was discrimination, harassment, and a violation of federal law. You're lucky Sergeant Thompson isn't pressing criminal charges. As Brenda was escorted out of the building, Marcus felt a mix of satisfaction and sadness. He hadn't wanted to ruin anyone's life, but he also couldn't allow her actions to go unchallenged. How are you feeling? Dr. Martinez asked. Tired, but better, like maybe something good came out of something awful. The story ran on the front page of the Portland Tribune the next morning. Disabled veteran faces discrimination at government building. Security guard fired after public outcry. But the real change came in the weeks that followed. The Community Services Center implemented mandatory training for all employees on disability rights and veteran recognition. They created a partnership with the Portland Veterans Coalition to ensure that veterans using the building services would be treated with appropriate respect and understanding. Marcus began speaking at the training sessions, sharing his story and helping people understand the challenges that disabled veterans face in their daily lives. I don't want anyone to feel sorry for me, he would tell each group. I want people to understand that having a disability doesn't make me less American, less worthy of respect, or less normal. It just makes me different. And different shouldn't be scary or uncomfortable. 6 months after the incident, Marcus received a letter that brought tears to his eyes. Dear Sergeant Thompson, it read, my name is Jessica Rodriguez. I'm a disabled veteran who uses the Community Services Center for my VA appointments. Last week, a security guard saw me struggling with my wheelchair and immediately came over to help. He held doors for me, made sure I could access everything I needed, and treated me with such kindness and respect. When I thanked him, he said, we learned from a very good man that all veterans deserve to be treated with dignity. I wanted you to know that your courage in standing up to discrimination has made life better for veterans like me. Thank you for your service, both in Afghanistan and here at home. Marcus kept that letter in his wallet, next to his military ID and his Purple Heart citation. What's the most important lesson from Marcus's story? Is it about standing up to discrimination, or about the power of community support, or something else entirely? Leave your final thoughts in the comments. A year later, Marcus was invited to speak at the Community Services Center's annual Employee Recognition Ceremony. As he stood at the podium, looking out at an audience that included building staff, security guards, and fellow veterans, he reflected on how much had changed since that humiliating day in the cafeteria. A year ago, I was told that I wasn't normal enough to eat lunch in this building, he began. Today, I'm here to tell you that normal isn't about having all your original parts or walking without assistance. Normal is about treating each other with dignity, respect, and compassion. He paused, looking directly at the security guards in the audience. Every day, you have the power to make someone feel welcome, or to make them feel like they don't belong. You have the power to see past someone's disability to their humanity. And you have the power to honor the service and sacrifice of the men and women who fought to protect the freedoms we all enjoy. The standing ovation lasted 5 minutes. After the ceremony, a young security guard approached Marcus. Sir, I'm new here, and I just wanted you to know that your story was part of our training. It changed how I see my job. Thank you for helping us understand what real service looks like. Marcus shook the young man's hand. Thank you for listening, and thank you for seeing all visitors as people deserving of respect. As Marcus left the building that day, Walking through the same cafeteria where he had been humiliated a year earlier, he reflected on the journey that had brought him full circle. He had lost a leg in Afghanistan, but he had found his voice at home. He had been told he wasn't normal, but he had helped redefine what normal really means. And most importantly, he had learned that sometimes the most important battles aren't fought on foreign soil. They're fought in cafeterias and government buildings and public spaces where the dignity of every American is either honored or ignored. Marcus Thompson still uses the Community Services Center for his VA appointments. But now when he walks through those doors, he's greeted with smiles, respect, and recognition of his service. And in the cafeteria where he was once told he didn't belong, there's now a plaque that reads, "This facility is proud to serve all Americans, including our disabled veterans who sacrifice so much for our freedom. Everyone is welcome here." It's not much, but it's everything.